Since its inception more than a century ago, animation has been regarded as an art form by both its artists and its numerous followers. Unfortunately, public perception continues to hold that it is nothing more than a ruse to divert youngsters with unrealistic stories that their parents cannot comprehend. More popular animated films have emerged in recent years, challenging the restrictive concept that adults cannot or should not appreciate this medium. The diversity of these lucrative and acclaimed films demonstrates that animated pictures are more than only enduring as adults. Though there are films that may bring out our inner kid and be appreciated for it, certain films are beloved because they have developed with us.
Of Tim Burton comes The Nightmare Before Christmas.
And what did Santa bring you?
Nightmare Before Christmas is a darker and more philosophical film that combines brilliant design and musical composition with excellent narrative. Youngsters who saw the film when it first came out in 1993 would appreciate its relevance significantly better than children now. That is why grown-ups have a greater appreciation for it and have seen it several times. Older audiences appreciate The Nightmare Before Christmas for a number of reasons, whether they grew up with it or not. An older audience understands Jack's character's deep intellectual themes better. The film is also jam-packed with minute elements that fans of all ages have spent years studying and scrutinizing on repeat. The protagonist, Ben, is coping with his mother's death, primarily by blaming his sister. Their father is at a loss on how to go. As a mythological adversary pursues the sister, who has a magical secret that explains why their mother left their life, the children are whisked away to live with their grandma. The grown-ups in Song of the Sea may believe they know what is best for the children, but they ultimately learn from the youngsters. Younger audiences may be turned off by the film's raw emotional core, while adults, particularly parents, may benefit the most from it.
Does whatever a spider pig does.
The Simpsons Movie.
Simpsons, one of the most well-known and still immensely loved adult programs, was adapted into a feature film in 2007. Fans of the program, as well as many critics, lauded The Simpsons movie. It's been shown hundreds of times on television, and audiences are still turning in. Though it is not surprising that youngsters have seen this and other films like it, this one was created with adults in mind. Immature children should not watch this video because of the significant emphasis on global warming and how to be a good parent, not to mention the sexual humor sprinkled throughout.
Disney Pixar's Up.
Up, which was marketed as a family-friendly adventure, stunned the whole audience with the most beautifully produced and tragic montage representing a man's life with his loving wife and her unexpected death. Up became less about a fanciful trip and more about overcoming loss and establishing a new life to move on to after that scene. Many age groups can benefit from Up, but because the protagonist is elderly, the film is one of the few to truly convey a tale from that age group. It presents a viewpoint that is rarely seen in mainstream media, giving it greater value and more for all viewers to learn from.
You're fantastic.
I try.
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Fantastic Mr. Fox is a film about a husband who abandons his dangerous job for the sake of his family, only to return to it years later, threatening their lives once more. If Fantastic Mr. Fox were a live-action picture, it would undoubtedly be classified as an adult film. The animation and humorous execution, on the other hand, make it simpler for youngsters to watch. Any parents who believe they must endure this film are not paying attention. This film is intended for them as much as it is for their children. It's obvious in the thick speech, which demands a high attention span to grasp, and the fascinating tale, which is interesting for all ages. Children's films portray adults in a defective light with minimal atonement, but with Abuela Alma, Encanto was the first to depict a totally damaged but still lovable figure. Fans of the film are correct to dispute this character, who functions as an adversary in the film, although for legitimate reasons. Abuela's backstory is revealed in what is possibly the most emotionally moving sequence in any Disney film, explaining her conduct in the most charmingly imperfect and sympathetic way. The execution and building of the film's conclusion are what make it important for people of all ages. Anyone who has experienced family pain may identify with this film, which provides no simple or miraculous conclusion to the Madrigal's tumultuous relationships.
Princess Mononoke.
Spirited Spirited Away established Studio Ghibli, Princess Mononoke is a classic masterwork treasured by the studio's elder followers. Princess Mononoke, like Spirited Away, takes a deep dive into Japanese legend, but from a more adult and serious perspective. Princess Mononoke is a complicated layering of morality and lore in which no character can be simply identified as a hero or villain, and their acts, though justified in their own ways, only add to the chaos. This video is engaging enough for any mature spectator to appreciate, but the content and philosophy are better comprehended by an older audience. Princess Mononoke has been a cherished film for decades and will undoubtedly be appreciated by future generations. Many youngsters associate the Prince of Egypt with the narrative of a man's destiny to rise up against a villain and free the people oppressed by him. That is, of course, the film's gist, but older audiences have picked up on the intricacies and the severity of the hero's trip. On a deeper level, The Prince of Egypt is a difficult drama of a guy grappling with his identity, attempting to reconcile with his family, and doing the right thing for everyone, which is never easy. The Prince of Egypt does not shy away from depicting the pharaoh's or God's wrath's cruelty, particularly in its representation of Passover. Regardless of how gloomy the picture goes, the film's final crescendo of inspiration is what keeps even the most jaded audiences coming back for more.
Wow. That is.
Narrative medium has advantages and disadvantages, and animation is no exception. Contrary to common belief, it is a tool that may be used in a variety of ways to convey varied tales. Persepolis creators recognized this, and rather than making a live-action adaptation of the enormously successful graphic novel, they preserved the illustrated appearance, understanding what could be done with it. Persepolis is about one woman's battle for freedom in the constrained atmosphere of 1970s Iran, as well as her and her family's struggle to survive the country's conflict. It's an uncommon example of a biographical animated picture, yet it blew at the box office when it was originally released and is still cherished today by adults who realized its importance right away and others who grew up with it and have come to appreciate the film over time. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you click the like button so I can feel all mushy inside. Also, click the subscribe button while you are there, and then since you are on such a clicking roll, why not click on another awesome video that is already loaded up right here? You don't even have to watch it, just let the video play at 1% while you eat your sushi or something.